everywhere at this.
The wires hanging off everywhere because we are live on the SideQuest Live. It is a beautiful, beautiful Monday evening. You're probably burning because the whole world is on fire at the moment. Even in the UK now, they've had their first ever high heat warning. Sorry, folks, we warned you. Here we are. Woo! Check at this. SideQuesting.com's podcast, The SideQuest. I am one of your hosts, Dali Demofsky. This way, this guy, Taylor Bliss.
Hey, what's up?
Down there in the corner. Right there, Zach. Okay, Quest.
Hey.
And the person below me right there, Aaron Scratty Bones Kelly.
I threw my back at again.
Oh shit! I'm put you above. What? Why'd you do that, dude?
So I'll tell you why I did it. Because I finally got my workstation set up and I got VR set up, and then instead of listening to my back as it protested going into my 5th hour straight of poker, as soon as I turned the thing on, I continued to play poker for like another 3 hours, and then when I finally said, "Okay, I'm gonna go to bed now," I tried to stand up and I couldn't stand up because my back had just said, "No, fuck you."
Oh
so,
no,
yeah. Hey, VR is real crazy, you guys.
Why did you have to play poker in VR?
Because I love poker.
Yeah, but
you got injured playing poker? It's like a really hard chess move.
Yeah. No, VR is crazy. So like, it's really weird.
It do be like that.
So poker,
Yeah.
poker, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I've played it.
The free app on there.
Heard of him? I've heard of him.
The free app on there is Poker Stars, and the very first thing it says when you turn that thing on is, "This is an 18+ game or whatever." So I'm playing just at a random table, and there's like 5 other people at an 8-person table, and they all sound like adults, and we're just chatting about like TV shows and whatever. And then all of a sudden, a player pops in, and it's very obviously like a 12-year-old because they have a mic set up and they're in VR and shit. And like they start talking just about nonsense, like, "Hey, man, I had a crazy day at school today. Oh, it was so awful." And you just see it because it's VR. All of a sudden, you just see all of these different avatars all turn and look at the voice, and then just without anybody saying anything, we all just start bullying, like chipwise bullying the kid. Like every time they throw into a pot, we're just pushing in, like taking all their money, and just fucking got that kid out of there.
Oh, jeez.
Nobody planned it. It was just like, oh, we're not dealing with this, and then the kid vanished because we took all his money.
I mean, he definitely shouldn't have been there. So
yeah, for sure. And then we just went back to talking about fucking nonsense. It was great.
This is the only time I will okay bullying someone.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
had it coming.
Just kidding. The kid had it coming. Oh, good times. Yeah, VR. We'll get into more of that as we get to that portion of the show. But I want to start. Oh, look at that. Playland is here as well. Hello, Playland. I want to get into the meat of the program, and let's talk about the Steam Deck. I figure we'll call ourselves deck heads. Is that kind of the right thing? I've heard deck heads. What are some other good ones?
Steamers.
Anybody else looking forward to taking a big steamer in December?
Me. Cheers. I pre-ordered mine.
I almost pre-ordered one, and then I realized that all of the prices I've seen bandied about are American dollars. So I looked at that real good one, and it was almost it was almost $1,000, and I was like, I'm not paying $1,000 for a fucking.
Yeah, but how much was the cheapest one?
Like $700, I think.
It was $3.99 American. Isn't that $4.99 Canadian?
I can check right now.
Check it.
And you would think, but don't forget that Steam prices shit differently on top of the exchange rate.
Yeah, it's pretty bad now.
Top sellers probably in there. Steam Deck Deposit. Let's see what the price is. So it's the cheapest one is $4.99 Canadian.
Okay,
but that's plus 15% tax. So the cheapest one for me would be $575. And it's like, for 64 gigabytes, it's like, nah, I don't think so.
That's so I ended up getting the 64 gig version. Well, first let's go over the Steam Deck information right now. Who wants to just talk about the Steam Deck and everything that you get in there? I mean, we could read SideQuesting.com, which is where all the information is. Let me share that screen right now. I'll show you guys. I'll share SideQuesting.com. Share the screen.
Did you see
here.
the Joy-Con drift article today?
Which one?
Where they said the Steam Deck was designed to not have Joy-Con drift or whatever.
Well, I mean, I saw
Joy-Con.
I saw that information come out on day one when they announced it, that they're like, hey, yeah, we're not going to have Joy-Con drift. But I mean, even if you look at if you're on steamdeck.com looking at details, like, they have like little breakdowns, and they have like a breakout of the actual analog sticks. I think it would be weird for any company to make something that looks as similar to a Switch and not have a line ready to go of like, we're not going to do the like literally the most notable thing that was negative about the closest analog to this product, right? It would be weird if they didn't have something that was definitively, we don't have Joy-Con drift. But it's good that they do.
I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm surprised Xbox didn't come out and say we also don't have Joy-Con because they don't.
That does kind of seem like a move they would have pulled.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you can't have Joy-Con drift if you don't have Joy-Con, because it's a different construction. Valve is actually using good construction for their.
Hey,
that's all right. I'm fine saying it. I'm fine saying it. No, I mean, it is a heavy duty. It's a heavy duty machine. It is a portable PC. First and foremost, it is a Steam box that you keep in your pocket. Well, no, you won't be keeping it in a pocket.
I was going to say, which pocket?
Yeah, back to your backpack pocket. Let me just say,
your cargo pant pocket.
Cargo. There you go. Hey, cargo pants are still cool, and it comes in a few different configurations here: 64 gig, 256, or.
I just got to cut in here real quick. All I wear is cargo pants, so fucking watch.
Yeah, hey, I'm okay with it too, dude. I'm
not actually sure how many cargo pockets are actually going to be able to fit this device, especially if it's in a case.
It is. What did they say? It's like well over a foot wide. Something crazy. It's like way bigger than the Switch width wise.
Is that true?
It is bigger than the Switch.
Foot?
Yeah. My biggest concern, like, this thing sounds awesome. What my biggest concern is that it's Valve, and I've been hurt before many times.
By which product?
By almost all of them,
honestly,
except for the VR. Like, they're like, oh, we got this Steam Link thing. You can stream all your shit to your TV, and it's gonna be great. And then, we're not supporting that anymore. And check out our new controller. We got rid of joysticks, and we got the cool trackpad. And we're going all in on this. Like, this is the future of control. No, we're not. Oh, hey, you guys want affordable PCs for gaming? You want to hit that Steam library up? No, don't. You can buy it from us. Oh, wait, no, we're not supporting that anymore.
So the only thing the main thing I'll say is that
the Steam Link over that sucker. That's nice.
The Steam Link is dope, and I mean, it still updates. Like, literally every time I turn that thing on, it auto downloads an update.
Yeah,
Steam controller, well regarded. It's time to learn how to use too high. Obvious problems there. The Steam boxes were an actual dog shit idea that they could have supported and didn't follow through, and I'll give you that 100%. But I think that a lot of their stuff, while not marketed and, questionably supported in the sense that they stopped selling them, we're all good. Like, the Steam Link is still good. I put one of them upstairs in my house, and then I can play stuff in a different room. Like, it still works.
Sure.
I mean, it's especially nice when they did, say that, hey, we're not going to make these anymore. You can buy them for $1 and we'll ship it to you for $5.
That's what I did.
That's obviously especially good, and why I have 2 of them.
Yes. Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, getting burned makes it feels like it insinuates that you get a really raw deal out of it. And even if I had bought like a Steam Link for $15, I do not think I would feel that way. If I had bought a Steam machine, I would, though. That was actually bad. That was pretty bad.
So the Nintendo, the Switch.
What's it?
Hold on,
what are
I'm
you
checking
searching,
the Switch
Dali?
length right now.
Oh, okay.
The God, come on, size, tech specs, Nintendo Switch. Jesus. Come on, guys, show me your. I don't even know where to look. Console.
I can probably find it. Hold on.
Well, I know the dimensions. Here we go. I found the dimensions. All right, dimensions are the Switch itself is 9.40 inches wide. Okay. The Steam Deck is 11.73 inches wide.
Yeah, so under a foot.
Under a foot.
Mm-hmm. Important.
Yes, it's important. But it's only 9 inches of the Switch. Okay, whatever. But it yeah. So let me go back to sharing this screen so we can
The bigger number to me is the fact that it's 670 grams.
Yeah.
Which is just shy of 1.5 pounds.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's some heft. Like, how much does Switch weigh?
Not even a pound, I don't think.
No, it's under a pound for sure.
The Switch weight is 0.66 pounds, so it's a full pound, almost a pound more.
0.88 pounds with Joy-Cons attached.
Oh, got it, yeah, 0.88 pounds.
Which,
so
realistically is, we're comparing, playing a portable console like with the controllers on it. So, but even so, it's like just shy of double the weight.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I think that what you get out of it, it's a little bit heavy. But like, never have I felt that the Switch was too heavy for me to hold for too long.
Right.
There's no way that I'm going to hold onto a 1.5 pound device forever and not. I mean, even in like the IGN videos, so IGN got the exclusive there on that stuff. Half the shots, the dude's playing it like resting on his leg, which I took particular note of because I was like, okay, so this thing obviously got too heavy to just hold up, and you had to move it over. But go ahead, Zach.
I think my biggest concern really is how much heat it's gonna put out.
All those vents in the back, yeah.
There's quite a few vents though.
Even with the vents, like I would think the like where your hands are is gonna get specifically pretty hot. So
I don't know if I agree. I think that's part. So Valve announced that they went to AMD, developed a specific APU and an RDNA GPU, right? And I think that part of the reason why they did that was because of heat dissipation and how much. I mean, we don't know details like on what kind of TDP this runs on in terms of raw power draw. It does have 45 watt USB-C as its main input. So if we assume that it's 45 watts or under that the CPU and the GPU run on simultaneously, that is extremely light, extremely light. And so if it can run on 45 watts, just to put it as an example, like we look at this generation's flagship GPU. I won't go 3090, but I'll go 3080, right? So NVIDIA 3080 wattage.
It's a lot.
Like under load, a 3080 can pull 350 watts alone. Yeah. And we're talking about this whole device theoretically pulling 45 watts total between the CPU and the GPU. And that's not saying, if you have a current gen CPU running along a 3080, the CPU will be pulling 145 watts. So it's like 475 watts and with overhead. It's kind of an insane power draw comparison.
I think also now, just like just you saying that it being longer or like wider than the Switch could also be them moving the hands away from the core.
Could be,
away from the heat. So
I mean, I'm I'm really looking forward to somebody doing the full teardown, because obviously I'm not going to do it, because I'm not going to I'm not going to spend
Bust open your.
I'm not going to spend that much money on a device and then tear it open. But this is going to get torn down day one, probably in December. So we'll find out, if not before,
or even
knows?
before.
Yeah, I mean, Valve is the kind of company that would give this console away, because that's just oddly what they do with this kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, Stefan's Digital Foundry will do it, but there are even channels that are dedicated to just teardowns, which Valve, I'm sure many people from Valve are aware of.
Will it blend up there?
Will It Blend will be up there, yeah.
Will It Blend is not one of the ones I'll be watching for personally, Aaron. That's just me. But I can't wait to see like how big the die is for the CPU, and GPU, and stuff like that. Like I'm fascinated by it, because it's a very interesting device. I mean, it's one of the most interesting PC form factors that I've personally ever seen developed.
So some of the tech specs here, it's got the capacitive thumbsticks, and the reason it has capacitive thumbsticks is that when your thumbs are off the buttons, you can actually fully utilize the gyro mode for aiming. I think that was one of the things that Valve wanted to really get baked in there was gyro mode, because they do want that sort of mouse and keyboard feel, and by getting your thumbs off those thumbsticks, it helps with that aspect. Obviously, you get all those buttons. The dual mic setup is kind of nice. Building that in.
Wow. And I think the Switch should have that. That would be really cool. Huh?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, no, I'm actually kind of surprised that they put mice on this thing instead of using a companion smartphone app.
Yeah,
it's a little weird.
It's a little weird.
A bunch of dongles you have to hook up.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Type-C port. That's the main port right there on top. Right. Let's see here. Other things include the back button. So you got L5 and L4. R4, R5. So they've included. There's a bajillion buttons, and those are fully programmable, much like all the Pro devices out there, which is really going to emphasize how they want owners to really kind of customize this thing.
And I actually think it's really interesting that people keep talking so much shit about the ABX and Y when R4, R5, and L4, L5 exist, because if you don't think that you can reach them, you got customizable buttons that can be ABXY right on the back there.
Totally.
Take your pick. They can all be done.
Yeah, you may more use the trackpad and the gyroscope, and then use those back buttons. And so I think there's some really kind of utilization.
Imagine playing Counter-Strike on this and using gyro aiming. It's like you have to adjust your recoil, or like.
I think obviously some of the other things you mentioned, the APU, the 16 gigs of onboard RAM, I think is really cool. Then the three different configurations we mentioned, 64, 256, 512. Really, that's the only difference when you buy the different versions. They got some speedier SSDs, but I think that's really that's up to
They even said you can put your own in there on the base model. So
there's also been a little bit of waffling, which is on some of the interview stuff has been it's a 2230 NVMe. So 2230 is referring to the size of the that SSD. So that 2230 is the smallest possible that has a common slot right now. And the way that I think the official quote was, it's not designed for customer for customer replacement, basically. And so I mean that's kind of weird warranty speak, but I feel there was the screenshot from Gabe Newell that he replied to an email and said yes, even the 64 gigabyte model has the NVMe slot, but it's also weird for a different official stance to be, hey, we don't intend for customers to replace this. Usually it's all or nothing. So aside from the fact that 2230s are super kind of niche, you don't usually see them. You usually see just the much bigger ones because they're going into laptops with more space or desktops with all the space. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's. I'm sure that it will be very possible, but there's probably going to be a caveat or two. I would imagine that this thing is not going to be a walk in the park to take apart.
It's not
Exactly.
modular, yeah.
It's not going to be modular. Just a couple more little quick notes here. It's essentially it's a 720p screen, even though it says 800 pixels, but it's HD 720p. It's just a little
The
bit
16
wider.
by 10's a nice little note, though.
Yes, that is nice. And I think that the advantage that gives you is now Valve can kind of incorporate some of their HUD at the bottom of the screen to keep the actual 16 by 9 at the top. But it's LCD screen, 7-inch diagonal is what they're saying. Let's see. Last couple things that I thought the Bluetooth 5.0 support I think is freaking awesome because now you can actually do controllers, accessories, audio. You can use earpods.
So
whatever.
how is the Steam Deck like 360, 370 base and it has all this stuff, and then the Switch is 300 and it doesn't have it doesn't even come close to having this like. It's just kind of wild to me seeing the comparison.
Couple things to keep in mind is that even on the preview interview that IGN did with Gabe Newell on it, he described the process of finding the price point for the device as a painful experience. I highly doubt that was anything other than the fact that they priced it under cost. They're selling it as a loss leader, and we'll get into the business side of it after we get over describing the device itself. But I mean, they're selling it at a loss. That's the answer. Nintendo is making money on every single unit of Nintendo Switch that they sell, hands down. There is no loss on any of them.
Right.
That's definitive.
Nintendo is a hardware company. We'll get into that in a second. Yeah, but I think the last couple quick things here. It's got, obviously you can put a micro SD card. That's why I went with the smallest size because I have a bajillion micro SD cards lying around from the Switch. And then you can utilize connectivity with USB-C. You can output. It doesn't come with a dock. They won't have a dock available for launch, but you can pick up a dock on Amazon for like $30 that or so.
Yeah. So I mean, the one thing to keep in mind is that this is based on Linux and. This is a custom developed fork of it, and so you could if you look up USB-C dock, I would probably harbor a guess that any single one of them that you buy would probably work with this device.
Yes,
like every single one. But also, just before we move on, one thing I wanted to point out: the screen brightness of the Steam Deck, 400 nits.
That's good.
The screen brightness of the original Switch is 291.
Mm-hmm.
Screen brightness of the OLED is 318. So just another thing to keep in mind. I mean, I don't know if you've ever used your Switch at maximum brightness. It's like, okay, it's kind of bright. And then this is still like an extra 100 nits over it. So it's
set up for outdoors.
Yeah, despite the fact that it's LCD, despite the fact that it's not OLED, brightness is still pretty good. So
now we've gone through the details of it. It is essentially, and they're not saying it's a competitor to Switch, but every article out there says, "Oh, here it is. It's a Switch Pro. Nintendo's dead. It's over." But they're not looking at this. Is the part where I pre-wrote my dissertation, and let me begin here. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. All right. So. 100% agree. I mean, they're with what High Good News says on there. Nintendo's extremely conservative, and they make profit on each one, so their device is a lot cheaper. But the Steam Deck for me, the kind of what I feel is that it's designed to continually push Steam. It's the Steam console. It's designed first and foremost to focus on that niche group of folks that want to take their Steam stuff everywhere. Right now, one of the big issues, I'm looking at my laptop right now, and I have issues sometimes with specific games that pop up. I'm like, crap, I got to go through my settings and tweak and adjust just to get them to look right on my laptop. At kind of a base level, you won't have to do that with the Steam Deck. All you'll have to do really is either play on that screen or dock it, and it will work, and it'll work at really good quality. I really look at this device as a perfect all-in-one. It's the PC gaming device. And I think I've mentioned in our Discord, if anybody asks me from now on how to get into PC gaming, I'm going to say just get a Steam Deck because it will work with the majority of the games, and almost a lot of stuff. The majority of the stuff is on Steam, but it'll work with the majority of games that you want to play on a PC. And I think that's brilliant. I think, for what Valve's putting here, even if it's docked, I think that is a terrific way to experience this thing because everybody has monitors, everyone has TVs. I don't consider this a Switch competitor at all. It's a different market.
I don't think that Steam considers this.
I don't think
or
exactly.
Valve considers it a Switch competitor.
Exactly, and they're going to live in parallel, just like it's going to live alongside the Xbox and the PS5 and all that. Nintendo has their first parties, right? Nintendo has Zelda, has Mario. If I go on vacation somewhere, I'm going to take a Switch over the Steam Deck because if there's a new Zelda game or a Mario game out or a Mario Kart, I don't want to lug around two portable consoles. It's usually just my Switch and my daughter's Switch, and we're playing games against each other. For anybody who has kids,
I thought you didn't want to bring two portable consoles, Dali.
Yeah, for myself. Let me say myself. But I don't bring my 3DS anymore. I'll have you know, and I don't bring my laptop. No, but I think Nintendo has Nintendo games, and I think that's always going to be the value there. Nintendo has the Joy-Con, which are they're much more expensive as these separate little controllers that have all the functionality, all that kind of stuff built into it. So that they're their own thing, and I don't feel like it's a competitor. And I think the only people that are making out to be a competitor are the folks that are just kind of doing shit posting articles. Like, I'm not going to name folks, but when your article says, I'm not the town Schreier or anything, but Crier. But when your article says Valve announces the Switch Pro, it didn't, because Valve announced an awesome portable PC. And I feel like this is, Taylor, you're nailing it when you talk about just this thing being so cool, how they're packaging everything in there. I've had a laptop. If I have this thing, I will game my PC games on the Steam Deck and not on my laptop will be focused to work. And kind of doing, and I'll play some game stuff on there. Obviously, it's a laptop built around gaming, but for $399, it's an awesome fucking deal for PC gaming. It's not gonna replace any other device that I have. Yeah,
I don't know if you guys ever, if you haven't, the price of a basic USB-C dock, one that has, HDMI out, a USB-A port, and a USB-C in for power runs about $15 to $20. Now, is that going to be putting out HDMI 2.1 or 2.2 for 4K? No, probably not. But if you're talking about how do I get this thing, I'm going to on a trip, I'm going to a hotel, I'm going to stay at somebody's house, right? And how do I get this on the TV at 60 hertz at 60 frames per second? It's like $15. It's negligible. Basically it doesn't matter. It's funny because when you think about putting it outside of the Steam OS, it kind of loses some of the magic, because like when we think about a console, especially like on a handheld, the fact that it exists in this little compartment is kind of what's tantalizing about it. Is that like, let's explore everything that it can do. And the fact that this device can do so much beyond that is almost intimidating in a way, because like I don't want to put Windows on it, because then it's just a computer.
Exactly.
And I don't want it to be a computer. I want it to be the cool thing that Valve made, and that's Steam in a portable console. But yeah, I think this is a great idea. I think that the first generation is probably going to have some stumbling blocks. If we and if Valve are lucky, it starts on something. I don't know. I kind of mentioned this earlier, is that what I'm interested to see if it gets any retail presence.
If it does, that's where I was going next. Yeah.
If it does, what kind of retail presence?
Oculus has retail presence, right? Vive doesn't, and Index don't. Oculus has a lot of retail presence over at Best Buy.
Best Buy, yeah.
It didn't the Vive as well?
I think it had it online. I don't think I ever saw it in the store, but I did see VR headsets at Best Buy proper, but I think it was mostly Oculus and
I could have sworn that the Vive was also carried at the
maybe it was,
Best
but
Buy.
It's totally anecdotal, but I know there's been a handful of developers VR developers out there who've been talking very vaguely about sales numbers, and they're saying that it's next to nothing in terms of numbers on anything except the Quest.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yep.
I mean, Oculus kind of
they still
weaved in there. We weaved in there, and Quest defined and is probably going to continue to define what VR from a consumer standpoint is for quite a while.
It's the all-in-one, and I think
it's gonna keep doing it for. I mean, even look at games that come out, and even if they're coming out on Rift, because they're gonna lead on Quest. Because if they can't find a foothold on Quest, then they're not going to bother.
All the codes we get are Quest first. It's like, hey, you got a Quest code, and we'll have a Steam code and a PSVR code later on. You want a Quest? Yeah, we'll take a Quest code. And that's, I think Valve could very well be testing the waters on a bunch of things with this. One, right now, only people who it opened first to folks who had Steam accounts, right? So you couldn't even get it unless you had a Steam account. Second, if you didn't have a Steam account and purchase until a certain time, then you could, I think, buy it over the weekend. But the earliest availability is late 2022. Sorry, my nose is super itchy right now. And so it's still selling to that niche market because it's only online. It's not in retail stores. It's not going to be in retail stores for who knows how long, easily until 2022. So it's going to stay towards the folks that are already in the Steam ecosystem first. And I think that Valve is totally fine with that because they want to keep those folks there. And now I think where it could affect a company like Xbox or Sony, and not necessarily in a bad way. We talk about, Xbox wants Game Pass everywhere. A bunch of Xbox games are on Steam, obviously, but you have to purchase them. But and it uses Proton, which can get you got the browser, so you can actually stream Game Pass streaming at least.
No, but, that's not what Proton is. I'm sorry. I just wanted to nitpick real quick.
Yeah, it's the Linux. Yeah,
because Proton is a really cool technology that Valve did pioneer, and I mean it's a Valve product. But just real quick, we'll get back to the Game Pass thing. Proton is a series of plugins and technologies using stuff like Wine. I forget what the other ones are that basically allow for Windows packages to run in Linux archetypes and Linux operating systems. So it's integral to the way that this device works, because without it, you wouldn't be able to just natively run the vast majority of games directly on the Steam Deck because they're made for Windows only and not for Linux. So sorry.
No, that's a totally valid point. But I mean, and the reason I bring it up is you can get to a browser and you can stream. You can do streaming. That's the kind of the point. And Microsoft 100%. Is more and more pushing away from hardware. I guess the point that I was trying to make was a device like this, or we always talked about the Switch, the Switch Pro or something having Game Pass streaming or anything on there, is the direction for Microsoft for their gaming hardware. Yeah, you could buy a Microsoft, you can buy an Xbox. But if you can get your software, your service, and Microsoft is pushing Xbox to be a service thing, I think. If you can get that on any other device, that completely opens up even more folks to use your platform. And I think for them, it's advantageous to look at the Steam Deck and partner with Valve and get that going on there. Even, and again, I look at stuff like this and I think, well, maybe Valve should consider looking at partnering with Sony in ways. Sony is really falling behind on their own library available to everyone. They have PlayStation Now, but no one really is using that. Shit, Nintendo's Switch Online has more free games for Nintendo owners, for gamers. And so I really feel like Sony could look at this and say, okay, how can we partner with Valve on something? Maybe there are ways. It's not going to happen. but I mean, I guess the point I'm trying to say is, Valve is in a really good position right now to get this sucker out there. I hope this is also kind of a predecessor to the or a precursor to what they want to do with the Index with their VR stuff, because you need a standalone VR headset, because obviously the Quest is killing it with that. Right now, the Index you need plugged into a computer. If they can push a standalone that also accesses the same library, then I think
what I would guess. So a couple things. One is that I think with this device having a built-in web browser, because it effectively is it's just a computer, with that kind of back-ended access into Games Pass for PC, by being able to use on browser, I think that's actually just going to delay any possible integration between Valve and Microsoft with Games Pass. Because they don't have any pressure to do it, because you kind of have this workaround that's easy to accomplish already. So like, am I really going to try and make it happen? Probably not, because it's already possible. The other thing was that because they didn't mention VR at all for this,
that's what I was going to ask.
It means that it's probably not particularly VR capable. What that does mean, though, to me, is that if they could have done it, they would have done it. The price point to get VR capable was probably too high. But I would bet you that if this device is successful to the point where they're going to try and do a second iteration of it, that will be a key point, because Valve is also chasing after the detached VR experience. You can't not be, when you care about VR and watch what the Quest is capable of. And so I'm sure that they're after it too. But even if it's like, hey, the VR our new VR headset works, it's wireless, you can attach it to your computer at home, but the new Steam Deck also works as your hub for VR.
Do you think if they go down that road, do you think that they come out with like a strap, like it's got two little hooks on the new Steam Deck for VR that lets you strap it to like your arm or your back or whatever, if they intend it to be like a
I sure hope so. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
I want to wear like a fanny pack.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. So okay, who pre-ordered one? I pre-ordered one. I got the cheapest version because I have a bunch of SD cards. Taylor, did you pre-order?
I did. I was going back and forth. I ended up on the 256.
Okay.
It was hard not to, and it was only $5.
That's exactly
to reserve the spot.
Yeah.
After hearing that it was a 2230 NVMe, I'm glad I went for the 256, because I was having some concerns about is it worth it? The fact that there's basically no way that I would get a 256 NVMe for $130, like for less than $130. If it was a larger form factor, be a different story. But so I don't feel like I'm missing out on money, because it's like, hey, just get the 64, upgrade it yourself. Why bother? The answer is because I can just basically pay the same price as I would for the card and have it already built in there. But yeah, I'm going to put, I put a 400 gig or whatever SD card in my Switch. I would probably put as large or larger into this device as well.
Yep. Yeah, I looked at. I was funny because I'll get into some of my Steam gaming stuff in our gaming portion afterwards. But I looked at the games that I had, and part of I'm something like this will get me to buy more Steam games, because it
increases the situations where you can play games like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what Valve is after.
Totally.
And we kind of brought this up even with like. It was who was the announcement of Fortnite being the competitor to Spotify and Snapchat,
something
right?
Like that,
where we are approaching not necessarily competition within specific spaces like games or PC games or console games. We're approaching the competition of attention space, of how can companies occupy their consumers' attention at all for any period of time. And For Valve, the answer is give them chances to play games in more locations. Nintendo kind of did the same thing as well in a slightly different way. It's a little bit different for Valve here because they know how many games on average people have. And they know that if more people have more options to play, they will purchase those games. It's pretty much what they're counting on.
Completely agree. It's so tantalizing from that standpoint. I look at like what Microsoft and Sony are going to do. Microsoft has streaming. They do streaming to mobile phones, mobile devices. And I think a lot of
Microsoft is chasing a very similar thing. It's just that like instead of making a new device, they said, "Hey, and we know that you already have this device. It's called a phone, and we're gonna stream the stuff to you, so it doesn't matter what phone you have. As long as it's certain OS and up and all that jazz." But
Aaron, you're interested in one of these, but it's just kind of heftier in Canada pricing, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, if it was a little bit cheaper. And I know that's ridiculous considering they're taking a loss on this thing, right? But like if it was a little bit cheaper, like it would be way easier to justify buying it. But I don't really go out. I don't really go out. Like I'm not the guy that goes out to do stuff and then also takes like a thing with them. So it's just like that. That seems like
if this was 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't be quite as interested. My daughter was born 5 months ago, and we're spending a lot more time at my parents, at my wife's parents. I'm spending a lot more time not at my computer, except for when I'm working. So that's definitely kind of teetered me over the edge because I was already looking at like, hey, I go away for the weekend and I don't get to play games at all because I was playing them on my computer and now I can't anymore. So maybe I'll pick up a gaming PC. This is significantly more interesting of a device to replace the idea of a gaming PC or a gaming laptop, than what a gaming laptop is. If I was going to, you probably, when you look at what this device is going to be capable of, you're probably looking at like an $800 to $1,200 gaming laptop, most likely.
Probably more, to be honest,
and quite possibly more. These are literally custom designed AMD chips in configurations that don't really exist in most gaming laptops.
Now, I will say this much: I have one of those ridiculously pricey gaming laptops, and it basically just sits at the store I work at, and I use it there.
For what? What do you do with it?
I play games. I play games. What kind
of games? What was the last? Name one game you've played.
Name one game. You like games
at work? I played a couple of minutes of Ragnorium. I played Swag and Sorcery. You remember me asking you trying to remember that, Dali?
Yeah, you definitely couldn't play that on a non-gaming laptop.
No, I had that thing originally because I didn't have a PC that could do VR.
Yeah.
So I got that laptop because it was like, well, I could build a PC, or
which makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
But now I just have it at work. If Valve came out in a week and they were like, hey, anybody who's got one of those ROG Strix laptops, you just send that to us. We'll send you one of our Steam Decks. It's like, I might take them up on that.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. The dockability, I think, is also really cool. And again, I mentioned before, I think and I think you were just kind of leading into that too. It's a ridiculous value if you're comparing this to a gaming laptop, kind of like a mid or lower tier gaming laptop. I don't see how you.
I would love to have a debate with somebody who's like, "There's no way I'm going to get this device. I'm going to buy a gaming laptop instead."
Right,
if you, unless you're like, "Hey, I don't have a mobile computer. I'm getting a gaming laptop so I can do both." That's a different use case. I'm talking about I'm buying a gaming laptop so I can game on the go. That. Two slightly different things where it's just like I can't imagine why you don't look at the Steam Deck as a viable option.
Now I think some of the other things that we will have to take a look at are like Twitch integration and steaming, steaming piles. No, but streaming, because that is a part of the gaming process. And how will that integrate into the Steam Deck? It's not a full. Someone's going to ask me, and this is just kind of just popped in my head. we were just talking to to one of my neighbors who he said, I'm going to start taking, I think I'm take up streaming and try to get into Twitch and see if I can make make a buck here or there. And he's going to play from his Xbox. How would you do that with the Steam Deck? I mean, you need a camera, that's fine. You can use a USB camera. But then there's no native output to Twitch or YouTube on there. Yeah, Steam has their own kind of streaming thing, but it's nowhere near the other two big platforms. I mean, you can use an Elgato. That's obviously the easiest way, is just to use an Elgato that spits out. But then you have to plug that into another device, potentially another computer, so you can do that way. So I'm very curious how streaming will work. Streaming will work on the Steam Deck. See, this happens, Val. But Zach, are you picking one up?
Eventually. I'm not gonna I'm the type of person that I always wait after the first iteration. So I mean, especially with Valve, I'm expecting them to improve on it. So I'll just wait.
Okay.
Because also even with my Switch, I sit at my desk and play my Switch. So it's my handhelds are still I'm just tied to my desk, really. So
I totally understand that. Because I work at my desk all day, the last thing I want to do is play games at my desk. Yeah, I have the Switch over here, so in between meetings and waiting something to start, I'll start it up. And same thing with the Steam Deck. I can see myself in between a meeting, I'll just kind of start something up. But when I game, I like to be watching TV and catching up on other stuff, hanging out with family. So for me, something like a portable device works really well, not for leaving the house, just being able to multitask and do stuff. For us, for me especially, we get a lot of review code, and it's almost always Steam or Epic Games, or mostly Steam. And so when we get the Steam review codes, I usually have to pass it on, not because my laptop can't handle it, but because I've been so sick of being in front of my computer and then having to lug this laptop somewhere to sit and play. I would actually rather sit on the couch, play a game on Steam, the review code that I get, and then watch something on TV at the same time, because the market is slowly shifting. There's a portion of the market, that's why the Switch is so popular. People can do stuff in handheld mode, and they can multitask, and time is much more valuable. So I do find that Steam Deck to be super, super awesome from that point.
Hey, so I do that on my desktop PC. I play games and have a movie or something on my second screen.
Yeah, I don't have a second screen, unfortunately.
So one thing I just want to touch on before we move on, though, is that in terms of your comment on streaming, one thing to keep in mind, the CPU on this thing is probably not overly good, but is still pretty good. Four cores, 8 threads, multitasking, and playing games and being able to stream is one of the things that AMD is particularly well known for.
Okay.
The other thing, as far as how you do it, OBS, Open Broadcasting Software, is open. So it's based on GitHub. Technically, there's a distro for Ubuntu, which is Linux. Now, SteamOS 3.0 is based on Arc, not Ubuntu. It's they're they're all, I'm not going to go into the details of fucking all the different variations of Linux, but the point is that OBS is based on a GitHub repo, right? I would be surprised if it takes more than 14 days for a fully working, almost perfect version of OBS to be available for installation on the Steam Deck. It's going to work. Streaming on it is going to take a little bit more know-how than other stuff, but I mean, you're probably not going to specifically try and stream on it unless you probably already know a little bit more, if you want me to be perfectly honest. Otherwise, if you want to do it really, really easily, you take the less popular option and you stream directly to Steam. Valve every now and then does try and boost up people that do that. But yeah, I mean, obviously being able to stream directly to Twitch is probably preferable.
And I do think it's I don't know how much it would take for Twitch or someone to create an app that's built into Steam that lets you, do some.
I actually think that Valve would probably not like it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's just my gut instinct, though.
Okay.
You really think that conversation hasn't happened behind closed doors already?
I'm sure it probably has. Yeah.
Because I bet you it has. I think that the Steve live broadcasting is one of those things that persists because somebody there wants it to.
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't you just integrate it
Sure.
with the world leader or at least the North American leader in live broadcasting software, and just directly integrate into it? It would certainly make things really easy, but they don't. But Microsoft and Sony did it to pretty good success on consoles. The viewership that you get on console broadcasting is actually pretty considerable, more than I expected that I would see when I started to look into it.
Yeah. Okay. So Microsoft abandoned Mixer because they realized they couldn't compete even in that space. All right. Any last thoughts on the Steam Deck?
I don't know. I'm interested to see how much they're gonna put on the cost for the dock. My guess is $50.
Yeah, I'm guessing around the same time too. Yeah, special Steam branded.
Do you think? Do you think Valve takes another shot at like a Steam controller to go with this thing, sort of like the Switch has the Pro controllers? You think they come out with another controller?
I actually don't.
You think it's just any controller you want to use, go ahead and use?
Yeah, I mean that's why they put Bluetooth support, and that's why they've been working on
USB. And all
you look at this stuff. If you ever played in Steam Big Picture mode, they left Steam OS at 2.0 for a really long time. They focused on Big Picture mode, which is kind of like Steam OS, but you're on Windows and pretend like you're on Steam OS.
Mm-hmm.
The controller input support for that, the mapping profiles and all that jazz is done specifically, I think, so that they don't have to make another controller. That so that you can bring whatever controller you want, and if you want the extra 2 buttons, you play directly on the Steam Deck itself. I mean, maybe they do. It would certainly be one way of actually making money on the device is with some of the peripherals that they could actually probably have some level of margin on it.
Sure.
I don't know. That's actually a good one. My gut is no, but I mean, now I'm like, oh shit, there's money. So maybe
there's totally money there. I mean, I mean, they could sell Joy-Con style controllers that are just smaller versions of those
Now that I really don't think they're going to do.
Speaking of Joy-Cons, I really wanted to touch on one thing because the whole Steam Deck thing got me thinking about the Switch stuff. And again, everyone was talking about Switch. Switch is dead, blah, blah, blah. But it did get me wondering, could something like this push Nintendo? No, I don't think it'll necessarily push Nintendo to go one way or another. But more and more now, I think that we're going to see the Switch 2 or whatever the next Switch is in 2022.
The Switch.
The Switch. I think that's coming 2022. I don't think it's the Pro. I think it's just whatever their next. It's the next Switch. It's going to use the old chips. It's going to use chips and all that kind of stuff. carts and everything. My nephews call it chips. It's going to use carts, but it'll be.
That's what they call it right now, right, Dali?
They call it chips. But it will be Nintendo's next Switch. I think they're taking the innards of whatever they had in the Switch Pro and just pushing it out that way. And I think they know that the Switch OLED is like less than a half step. It's like a third step, basically. And they bumped that price up to $349 for the OLED, and I think that for them it's a replacement for the current Switch. I don't think it's a third pillar like they have it listed on their site. It's like we got a third person of the family. No, it's going to be replacing the current Switch because I think that OLED is going to be going forward as the next Switch's screen. But I think Zelda 2 launches alongside it, and I think they're just kind of waiting on parts and trying to figure out if stuff's going to be available for that next Switch in fall of 2022, and I think holiday 2022 or Q1 of 2023.
I think if the next actual Switch is coming out regardless of when it comes out. I think that's because it was going to come out anyway. I don't think Nintendo reacts to this thing at all.
No, they don't at all. No, not at all.
Like I don't even think they acknowledge it. Like Nintendo's just going to do their own thing. That's what Nintendo does.
Yep. But I completely agree. I completely agree. So there you go. All you folks thinking that this is going to harm any of the consoles, I think you're gonna be buying a Steam Deck because it's a cool ass portable PC.
Switch 2 doesn't come out next year, by the way.
You don't think so?
No.
Think 2023?
More likely.
I
think that is more likely that we actually get if a console comes out in 2022, I think it's more likely that it's a Switch Pro.
Yeah, you think it'll be? See, I think by then it's fallen far enough behind that.
What was the time between? What was the last 3DS iteration that they made? What time did it come out? Look it up. The last 3DS? Iteration of 3DS, including 2DS. If you look at it,
it's like yearly.
If you look at the last iteration of the 3DS line, including 2DS, that they made,
you ready?
I think it was Here
we go. The original 3DS. Oh shit! Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Nintendo 3DS came out in February 2011, or sorry, in 2011. The XL came out in 2012.
Right.
The 2DS, which is the Wedge, came out in 2013. The new 3DS came out in 2015. So when you think about the 3DS XL,
so 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years for
the revision.
Version.
Because the new 3DS had a faster chip. There was only certain games that actually worked on 3DS, which were Xenoblade Chronicles, right?
Yeah,
and maybe one other.
Something, there were Minecraft and Xenoblade Chronicles and something else. Yeah, there were only like 2 or 3. The 3DS, new 3DS and new 3DS XL both came out on the same day in 2015. So 4 years after the 3DS was out. Yeah. But then the new the 2DS XL, the big boy, the one that is the nicest out of all of them, to be honest, came out in July 2018. So after the Switch, actually. So 2 years after the where they took a bunch of features out. 2 years later came out.
Right. So because when did the Switch launch? It was 2015.
2017 was the Switch.
2017. Okay. So 2017. Yep. I mean, I don't know. I could see them dropping a new 3DS and then dropping or it's a new 3DS. Yeah, like a Switch Pro, new Switch Pro 2022, and then a console sequel or otherwise. I don't see Nintendo doing anything where they straddle the line of co-compatibility. The only time that they've done co-compatibility between consoles was when they actually had second actual extra game slots, right?
Sure.
Sure. You think Game Boy to Game Boy Color, Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance to DS.
Yes.
I don't think did they do that for DS to 3DS? I don't remember.
No, you could use the DS games in the 3DS though.
You could.
Yeah, they were just
okay. Yeah, so I mean, they did that, and obviously they stopped it from 3DS to Switch. Yep. Maybe they look to do that again.
I think the Switch is going to continue using the same carts. I don't think they're going to be changing those carts except getting them because Nintendo has had the bigger, gigabit carts that they've been just kind of holding on to because I think there were a bunch of games that were like
that. I feel like that's still going to be holding him back too because man, the cart prices you guys remember early on in the life cycle of the Switch where it's just like wow, games knowingly are squeezing onto 32-bit carts or 16-bit carts and then requiring immediate downloads. They made it functional to the point where yes, you could launch and run the game. But realistically, it's impossible to play it unless you download additional content.
Yeah, it's true.
The cart sizes and the cost of that memory is holding them back significantly.
I think retail space is still really important for Nintendo to have. You go to Best Buy and the biggest space is Nintendo, right? They have
they clearly knocked Switch out of the park. So I mean, at this point we're 4 years on, so
they'll still be selling carts at the detriment to all the game dev out there. No, I completely agree. I think because the OLED is getting such mixed early reviews online, previews, wordage, that people are. I mean, I pre-ordered it only because FOMO, and I'm Dali, and I like first to get a lot of stuff. But I also want that bigger screen. For me, that bigger screen is important because I'm getting old. But most folks, I don't think will be upgrading. There is no reason to upgrade. If you got the Animal Crossing Switch,
this isn't an upgrade. I mean, and like I saw a lot of people on Twitter reaction to this, and I think the right take is not to look at this as an upgrade.
Right.
This is a secondary grab at as again, they saw the Switch take off in sales, and they're like, okay. They opened up, they dusted off the Wii playbook, and it's like, all right, boys, we're back. Let's go. We're going to aggressively push to get as many households owning a Switch as possible, and also make some money off the top. And so, you get a refresh on a SKU, you get news headlines. Again, I think we're looking at more marketing than anything else. It looks really fresh. It looks nice, despite the fact that it's basically identical in almost every single way. That's a pretty successful marketing campaign. I mean, the only people that could possibly be lampooning it are people that are specifically looking for Switch Pro, which is such a small subset of the customer base that they're looking to get this device in the hands of, that it's irrelevant to them.
Do you? So I mean, the plan right now. Is that the base Switch and the Switch OLED are selling concurrently, right? Like
they will for a time.
So what I'm wondering is, like, how long do you think it takes until they just phase out the base Switch? Spring? Because like the
Switch, holiday season,
like the Switch OLED, one holiday season. The Switch OLED makes sense to me as the Switch, you know what I mean? Like this is the device. Like 100%. if you're somebody who's like me, except with a little more willpower, who didn't buy a Switch until like a week before this OLED thing was announced, like this is the Switch you buy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to a few other people, and they're like, well, do I do this? Do I hold out for a possible Pro still? Because the first thing that happened after the OLED announcement was like, well, there's still probably a Pro coming.
Yeah, there's still something coming.
And my thing is that, like, if you want to switch, if you're looking to buy a Switch, just buy this one. But buy the OLED. You've already waited 4 years. You might as well wait 4 months and buy the OLED, it's actually 3 months, but it sounded better.
The flip side of that coin, I think, is the more important part in that, which is like if you have a Switch, you're fine. Like you don't need it, dog.
Yeah, and like, I tried to kind of illuminate or be as direct on that one as possible when we had our show the other week, where it's just like, I mean, if you already have a Switch, unless yours is breaking in some capacity, Dali's going to show off he's going to show off. He wanted to show off his. Come on, you've got the Animal Crossing.
I got the Animal Crossing, and I got the Skyward Sword amiibo. The Animal Crossing Switch, the back of the Joy-Cons are that white color.
Yeah,
and which is tight. It's a nice color.
Everybody keep in mind that at his core, Dali is a graphic designer.
That's the thing. Yeah, great way to put the disclaimer out there. I'm a graphic designer, and I look at colors and all that kind of shit all day, and that's what really entices me.
Don't get me wrong. The white dock and the white Joy-Cons create lines in a way that does the console extremely good justice.
Yes,
it makes it just look really, really sharp. That the classic red and blue kind of failed to do.
And the Animal Crossing dock is white as well, and that's so nice. But yeah, and so graphically, I'm appeased to, like, again, I'm a designer. Shiny things, fucking beautiful shiny things Get me.
I don't want to go backwards too far.
That's fine.
But I just remembered something that I wanted to bring up when we were talking about the Steam Deck, and I forgot about it, which was NVIDIA DLSS, obviously making news for a lot of good reasons. 2.2 is coming out soon, so Red Dead Redemption 2 and stuff like that they were publicizing that. However, AMD is also putting on theirs, which is their FSR technology. I think FSR is is that the right one? Please tell me I'm right. AMD FSR.
Fidelity FX.
Yeah.
FSR. It is FSR.
Yeah, Fidelity FX Super Resolution. And so one thing to keep in mind is that obviously the Steam Deck has AMD CPU and GPU, which means that FSR is going to run natively. There's probably some finagling that's going to happen to make sure that it runs on, again, Linux operating system. But FSR is looking extremely good as an alternative to DLSS, and it's only in its first iteration. DLSS, obviously, I said 2.2, so version 2.0 and onwards. What that is going to be able to do to push output and fidelity while maintaining FPS when it's in a docked mode, considering that the Steam Deck can do 4K with DisplayPort 1.4 and stuff like that, really cannot be understated, because FSR is going to make that console viable for the long term. Where like it could be okay for kind of current gen games where they are right now and start to trail off and just be able to play indies in the long term. FSR, and depending on what AMD does with FSR, is probably going to be pivotal to determine how far it can really go for AAA stuff. Because since it's native 720, pushing up to 1080 or 4K and beyond FSR is going to be critical. It's going to be, all of the preliminary stuff has been out because I believe it's still slated to release in July. So it's not in the hands of consumers yet, but we're going to figure out exactly what it's going to be capable of pretty soon. And then obviously we'll find out later on, closer to December, what it can do in the Steam Deck, but it's going to be a really, really interesting piece of the puzzle for that handheld. Sorry, I just completely
that's awesome.
Completely forgot about FSR, and I wanted to bring it up, but yeah, no, that's going to be a big deal.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. It's going to be cool to see if there's any indie devs or like smaller studios that make games specifically designed for the Steam Deck, because it has like the touch screen, it has those back buttons and stuff. There could be some cool things that some devs could do, and like someone like I don't know, to Evolver, I would be like, hey, this is like a Steam Deck exclusive game where it's like, so like I think that's going to be interesting, and I mean like indie games and Switch kind of go hand in hand. So having this kind of be like, and also like alternative to that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Definitely. And the last thing I want to say about on the streaming side of things for the Steam Deck, it's going to be full. I would bet you that for basically any quote unquote indie game is going to be fully capable of streaming from the Steam Deck.
Yep.
Basically forever, for the most part. The way that those games are designed are meant to be hit as many different PC capabilities as possible. And so what the core count on the APU can do is probably just going to be able to stream those games almost forever. For to the point where it wouldn't matter because the device is going to be so far eclipsed that it's irrelevant anyway. But yeah, I don't know. Excellent. Obviously, I think it's a really cool. I'm really excited about the idea of what that device is. So I won't talk about it anymore because I could probably still find other things to discuss.
Yeah, we're excited. We'll a couple of us might get ours in December, and we'll kind of.
Mine's officially Q1.
Is it okay?
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing to check out is that if you look and if you're logged into Steam and you go and you look at it, it is official that if you go and you look, if it previously was not telling you when it was going to deliver, it should say now. If yours was previously blank, it's most likely December, and if it was already Q1 or Q2, it's still going to be Q1, Q2. What's it? Is it still? Let's see. Let's take a live look. The 399 64 gig is Q2. 529 is still Q1. So if you want it sooner rather than later, you go for the 529. 649 512 gigabyte is Q2 as well. Okay. So, but yeah, I did see that there was an update that the folks that got in ASAP, their reservations updated to delivering on December.
Yeah, mine still says December. So.
Ooh, Dali got in early.
I got in. I was thank you, Wario64, watcher of the show, Wario64. Let's
fan of the show.
Fan of the show, Wario64. Let's real quick. Any other news bites before?
Was there news bites? I mean,
there was. I'm going to mention this one. That's the Tom Clancy's X Defiant.
Okay, I was actually that was the one thing. That's the one thing I was going to bring up.
Yeah, go ahead, bring it up.
Oh, they announced. So they announced that they were making a 6v6 free to play Tom Clancy character including arena shooter called Tom Clancy's X Defiant, and I could almost be less interested. I don't know. It's really tough to say. My thing about what this is that, and I summed it up in kind of like a really just cheeky thing. It was just like day late, dollar short. It's just it's the neat idea from like 4 years ago. I love what Ubisoft can produce. It's just that they wait until somebody else does it, and then they're like, "Oh, cool, that is a good idea. Let's do that with the shit that we have." Right, and they make it. Their idea of what a battle royale game was. What was it called? Hyperscape.
Yeah.
Was that their BR?
Yep.
Perfectly serviceable. Pretty fun game. Completely nothing new to it compared to other BRs in existence. So like, why do I switch off of the BR that I already like? Because while this is good, this is brand new and I have to start over when this other one that's just as good, I have XYZ experience in and have cosmetics and et cetera, et cetera. I think this is going to do this exact same thing just all over again.
I think what they think is going to pull people over is the aesthetic difference, because their games have really striking
and that's true
visual looks. It's like, oh, this has this weird kind of fiction sci-fi look versus other games that don't have that. But with this, it's like you're up against Call of Duty, Overwatch, bunch of other games. You can't really compete against those.
Yeah, I mean, the closest analog to this, when you think about stylistically that are competitive team.
Apex?
No, because I mean Apex is a BR only, right?
I was just thinking just by looks.
Oh, by looks, yeah. I mean Apex, but I mean the closest analog is going to be Counter-Strike, and maybe in kind of like Siege, Rainbow Six Siege.
Sure.
So otherwise, there's nothing that takes kind of like the Iron Sights approach, other than standard Call of Duty multiplayer. That's kind of really it. But this is supposedly kind of like a tactical shooter, where it looks. I'm not sure. It looks more similar to Valorant in the stuff that the characters can do.
Yeah.
But obviously, Valorant is extremely stylized by comparison to the closest thing to Valorant, which was Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike Go. So, is there a space for it? Yeah, possibly. I don't know. We'll see. But I just wish that I didn't feel like I was looking at a game that didn't already exist.
I don't know, man. I have one comment and I have one comment and two questions about this game.
All right.
Question number one is: can I play as Tom Clancy at any point? Is there going to be a
No, you cannot play. You cannot play as Tom Clancy.
Question number two: can I play as one of the planes from Tom Clancy's Hawks at any point?
Awesome.
No, I don't think you can play as one of the planes.
You guys remember that game?
Yeah, I remember Hawks. Hawks was awesome. And my comment is, I hate the name of this so much.
Yeah, it's really bad.
That my first impulse is that I don't even want to give this fucking game a chance because of how much I hate the name.
Oh,
play XD. XD.
XD. I'm so dumb, dude. All right, we're
like the punk aesthetic doesn't do any like.
It also doesn't synergize with what the rest of the game looks like.
Yeah, it's
weird. There was
weird.
a Hawks 2 actually as well.
Oh my god,
Hawks was better than Hawks 2. I'm just throwing that out there. And before anybody says it, I don't give a shit if they let you play as the pilot in Tom Clancy's XD. I want to play as the plane.
That would be awesome. XD baby, XD. All right, let's get
other news.
I got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's that Nickelodeon fighting game.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was gonna say that too. All right.
Yes.
I think it's it's pretty interesting, dude. It's like it's the actual like. So people this week
it's
have been
more
like
interesting than I thought it was after I saw the announcement, which was Nickelodeon. Brawler platform fighter. I was like, okay, whatever, I don't give a shit. And then the details started to kind of like also come out.
It's crazy, dude.
Okay, now I care more than I did.
It's like people all week have been saying have been talking about like the Nintendo Switch competitor of like the Steam Deck and Nintendo and all this, but like this is the actual Nintendo competitors. This game, like it's like a direct call out to Smash. And as a person who I was ingrained in the competitive scene for Smash and like Smash adjacent games for like 5 years. Mm-hmm. I hosted tournaments. I did a whole bunch of stuff. I competed. So like this is like something that the community has always needed. Because like whenever I was in Smash, there's this mod called Project M, which is basically it turns Brawl, which is like considered the worst Smash, into like a competitive Melee-esque type of game. And that was tripping. Yeah, so they removed tripping, they added wave dashing and all like the tech from the Melee scene that people like. Mm-hmm. And that's always my favorite Smash game, but like it's just kind of like a weird spot to exist because it's like it's definitely an illegal thing. Like they take assets from the game and just rip them and make their own assets off of pre-existing ones. So it's definitely like a morally gray, technically gray thing to run a tournament. And I ran tons of tournaments around there's a game, but from Project M, Slap City came, which is the game that the devs of this Nickelodeon game made prior. Yeah. So it's like it's made by Smash fans who saw Brawl and saw Melee, like let's make our own game, and it's pretty. It really sings to like the soul of what a lot of people consider what Smash is. Sure. So it's really exciting. And then all the details coming out, like it has rollback. Yeah, it's going to be on PC. It's going to be cross play. Yeah, Nickelodeon's like they've allowed us to add competitive things to it, like wave.
Yeah, I mean, in Discord, they just flat out said, yeah, it has wave dashing. You're just like, all right, yeah,
and like that. Even that alone is enough to get Melee fans to play.
Literally every single Melee player was like, they were sleeping. They heard about a tweet where a dev said that there's wave dashing. They all woke up at the exact same time.
So it has rollback netcode, which is like
it's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's gonna
for a more than 1v1 brawler.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Smash Ultimate does not have rollback netcode, does it?
No.
There's no such thing as rollback netcode on a Nintendo game.
Yeah, no, Nintendo like the Smash Online's horrible. It sucks. Like it's never been good.
Yeah.
And this is like if they're able to deliver a Smash adjacent game that feeds into what fans like out of Smash, because a lot of Smash competitors don't understand what makes Smash what it is, especially to people who play the game as a competitive-minded person. So if this game is able to bring that to light and also be a Nick IP and have DLC and have rollback netcode and be crossplay with PC and console, like it could potentially be pretty like large, especially like within the FGC. I think it could be big, not in like the greater gaming sphere, but I'm really excited about it. I I thought it was just like a shit post, like okay, cool. And then I just kept seeing things pop up all day. I was like, dude, this game sounds really legit. Like
it legit went from us like ragging on it to like 5 minutes later thinking, actually it's not that bad. And then like late by that evening, we were all fucking hyped for this thing. I mean, fucking Powder Toast Man is in it. SpongeBob. This may be SideQuesting's game of the year right here as a
I'm
it's
like,
not even out yet.
Does it have a release date tentative?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't looked. I haven't even looked. But it's like, dude, like Patrick, like come on. Like I'm really excited to play this game and see what characters have the like the Fox moveset and the Falco and like all these Smash characters that are always they have like these movesets that people expect in these types of games. So I'm excited to see like who's like who.
So if this is following in the footsteps of like it being a Smash game, it stands to reason there's probably some sort of a story mode, right? Like just to get people used to the controls. Who do you think the boss of the story mode is?
Dexter. No, it's Cartoon Network actually. Dexter's
No, it's gonna be like
Shredder.
No, you can't say that.
I was gonna say Dan Schneider.
No, you can't say that.
I was gonna say that.
I knew it. I knew as soon as it took you an extra second, I knew what you were gonna do.
I was like, should I say this? Okay,
No,
I might as well say it.
There we go. PS4, PS5, Switch, and Xbox.
It's like I'm so hyped, dude. I'm so
I know.
I'm so
Me too.
ready.
I'm gonna pre-order this fucker.
What?
Was there PC listed there?
No,
Yeah.
PC was not listed.
Well, no, there wasn't on there, but they've confirmed it's coming to
Have they?
PC.
Okay.
So it's just like, yeah.
Okay.
You mean it's coming to Steam Deck?
Yeah.
We're looking at
playing it on Steam Deck.
according to this, we're looking at PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and Microsoft Windows.
Yeah. There you go.
New Age of Heroes.
Interesting.
Right.
Dude,
Yeah,
like
I'm kind of looking forward to
just even think if this was like a Microsoft like acquisition, like a Game Pass exclusive, like that would be sick.
Man.
Like what? Like that would be super cool. Like and them having Reptar in there is like such a it's such a Smash meme because forever people are like, we need Ridley in Smash, and people like
totally
he's
is.
like way too big, and this is like Reptar in Smash. Okay, cool.
Day one, yeah, literally. No, I'm hyped. Yeah, we're gonna be playing this. We'll set up game nights. Let's move on to what we've actually been playing. Speaking of game nights,
I thought we were going to talk about the Monster Hunter Legends of the Guild.
Yeah, let's talk about Monster Hunter Legends of the Guild. We're gonna talk Monster Hunter in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to hear from Aaron because my man joined the world of VR. Tell me about VR.
It's
you finally put on the headset you've had for like 8 months.
Like something like 8 months. It's pretty crazy.
Is it the Vive that you have?
It is. I've got the first Vive. It's interesting. It's really blurry. Like not in the sense that like, oh, I can't really see anything or anything like that. It's just the pixels like are very noticeable, almost to a distracting point, but just not quite.
Yeah, I mean that is the biggest difference between the first and the later generations of the Vive is pixel density. So that's not surprising.
But even with that aside, like it's weird. Like it's really strange playing a game that I've played just on the computer and then just having all of the controls just be, motion based. Because any game on anything else that has motion control, I tend to just not interact with. Like any PlayStation game that ever was like, oh, you gotta turn the controller, and it's just I don't want to fucking turn the controller. Like, what are you talking about? But no, it's cool, and I'm probably gonna sample a bunch of different games just to get the full experience. Right now, I've only really played poker.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna I've been looking at the games list, waiting on my next paycheck. I'm probably gonna pick Creed up because that looks like a really cool boxing game. I'm probably gonna get Beat Saber because that's the game you have to get with VR. I'm probably gonna get a couple other ones, but I very much see myself eventually just using this as for the theater app, because that's very cool. Like being able to throw this thing on my head and then lay down and then just reset it. So I'm looking forward instead of looking up, and then just throw it in theater mode and just watch whatever the hell I'm going to watch anyway.
That's like Netflix or whatever, or YouTube, or just anything.
Yeah, totally. I watched the season finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier in VR.
Right. Okay.
Just through Disney XD or Disney Plus rather.
The theater mode that it can do is actually pretty convincing. It's pretty good.
And there's the cool part about it is the one that I have installed right now is like a multiplayer theater mode.
Yeah.
So you just get in there with a bunch of people and somebody will just queue a thing up and then you're all just sitting in there watching a thing. I got friends that have Vives. It was the reason that I went with the Vive over anything else. And so it's sort of cool that I could theoretically have a movie night with friends that don't live in the village anymore. But yeah, so I've been playing that. I beat Pokemon.
Which one?
Oh boy.
Which one? Fuck. Which one?
Oh yeah, that's right. You were just talking about
Sword.
Yeah,
Sword. Yeah, that game. That game remained ludicrously easy all the way to the end.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Just have fun.
And then
hamstring yourself
and then
the whole time, and then it becomes difficult.
And then you beat the game, and then you fucking load back in, and your fucking mom's like, "Hey, check this out! I have a Master Ball." It's like, where were you 20 minutes ago? I don't need you anymore.
They were adding difficulty to the game.
I don't need you anymore. I beat the goddamn game. I didn't even have to catch the fucking sword dog. It just came and helped out anyway.
Sword dog.
But
his name's Zacian. Get it right.
Yeah, sure it is. Sword dog. But yeah, so I beat that, and then I bought and I have been playing, and I'm probably I think 3/4 of the way through Rune Factory 4.
That's a good ass game.
On the Switch, you're playing that?
Yeah, I'm playing it on the Switch. I believe I think it's just the 3DS game that is just on the Switch now.
They basically they tune some stuff up.
Okay.
Yeah, it plays fine. I have to
go back to it. I started Rune Factory 4 a year ago, and I forget what happened afterwards, but I stopped playing it.
Something better came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, something else came out.
Yeah. But... No, I just I beat Pokemon, and I was like, well, I gotta I want to play something, so I'll see what's happening.
They delayed Rune Factory 5 again, so I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah.
But that game seems okay.
Anything else besides those?
No, not really. I played a tiny little bit of a game on Steam called Ragnorium, which is vaguely like a RimWorld.
Okay.
So it's that kind of game. And I think that's all I've been messing with. I'm just looking at my history here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I've been playing. Finished Pokemon, Rune Factory. Those are the big ones. Mess around with VR.
Excellent. All right. What about you, Zacharias?
Man, I've been playing games.
All those games.
List them, coward.
Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin.
Talk about it.
Dude, that game is just so good. I just keep I mean, I just keep being impressed by it. It's the better Pokemon game. It's like what these games should be. I
can't wait to play it on my Steam Deck, dude.
They it probably will be very nice there. They just announced that it surpassed over 1 million sales. So
hell yeah. So I unlocked something in that game that really like opened my eyes to what the issue is with like Pokemon. So Taylor and I, after the last podcast, we talked about Pokemon for maybe like 2 hours, maybe.
No, never. No way.
We were just like talking. We were just talking about it and like how there, like you catch a Pokemon and that's just kind of it. Like there's no use for it after the initial like interaction. And what Monster Hunter Stories 2 does is when you collect eggs and you hatch them, and they have genes, right? They have this like checkerboard that you have to fill out. It's a 3x3 board, and if you have bingo, basically is what it's described as. They get additives to their base stats. So, like for example, my Pookie, he is a poison like lizard flying thing, right?
You're poison boy. Yeah.
So he's my favorite dude. Like I just love this thing. I love this design. I love the way he looks.
Sure.
And what the game allows me to do is it allows me to hatch other monsters and improve my dude that I like. Yeah. So like I can use the weaker monsters and combine them with my favorite one and add this guy has this gene that I want on my dude that I like. So I can just drag and drop and place it on my guy. So it adds a layer of like strategy, but it makes it a lot of fun because you have this attachment to this thing, and you're like, I want to make him the best I can make him, and I don't want to get rid of him. So like his like main base like attacks are poison. So I've gone through and gotten these genes that are all fire. So now he's like a dual fire poison type just because I wanted to make him that. Like that alone, being able to build.
And can you transition him out of that if you wanted to?
Yeah. So like I can just keep adding things and subtracting things and just keep making him whatever I want to make him according to the fights, according to what's happening. So it just, one, it makes me feel closer to this random creature, and two, it adds a gameplay layer that Pokemon lacks. Like, so yeah, it's just so cool. Like, I just love exploring this world, hatching eggs, fighting monsters, figuring out what the best weapon is, and like how to counterattack this like certain attack. When it's like they people who play Monster Hunter are aware of this like enraged state that the monsters go into, and they always switch up like their attacks. So when you reach that point in this game, it's kind of like you're both up against the wall at that point, and you're like, I need to figure out what his next attack is going to be, because if I can't block it, or if I can't like if I can't overcome it, I know I'm gonna get fucked. Like and so it's just like it's a really deep layer of combat that I love. And turn-based RPGs kind of, they fall into this rut of like, I'm just going to press A and do the best attack over and over again and win. And this, I'm constantly thinking, I'm constantly juggling my attacks and my weapons and figuring out what's best against this, how to get this part off of the monster to get that piece for the armor set I want. And it's crazy. It's just a well thought out system. It's really in depth and involved. Yeah, so I'm just like obsessed with it. It's one of those games I say I'm gonna play, and then I just play for like 8 hours. So
nice.
I've been choosing certain days, like this is gonna be my Monster Hunter.
I gotta ask you a question. So were you expecting to be this enamored by this game?
Nope.
No,
not at all. Like, I thought it looked cool. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. I'll try it.
Did the demo get you, or?
Yeah, it was the trial I played. I was just like, whoa, like this is something special. It's like, it's not what I expected. Yeah, I love it. If Cruelty Squad wasn't out this year, this would be my favorite game of the year. Easy. Like
Wow, okay.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. It's
Which one took
really
instead?
great. Cruelty Squad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If that didn't come out, this would be like number one, easy. But yeah, the way they've thought of all the systems is super nice. Like I didn't realize it until recently, but each time you go into a new place, you get an AI partner who's kind of this who's like the person of the place that you're at. Like, because you go to a village, and each village has a person who becomes your party member, and they're controlled by a computer, but they're not dumb, which is fun. They're just kind of smart. But what's cool is they use one weapon. And what that forces you to do is if they're using a weapon that you're using, you kind of want to not use that because it's going to be like, oh, we're doubling up on this type and it's not going to do anything more for us as a team. So it forces you to use a different weapon type. And I think that's like really genius. I was using the bow for the first area. I got to the second place, and that guy was also having a bow. I was like, wait, this is like we're both standing here and charging our bows and waiting for our next turn. So I should probably use a hammer instead of using this, so I can get in and stun the monster while he charges his bow. So then on his next bow attack, it does crit. It does crit, and then I go in for more. And so I was like, it just makes you think about how to approach battles, which is like super cool. It's a tightly intricate designed game, which is really fun to interact with.
I love the battle system. Just in the demo that I played my way all the way through the demo, and I immediately thought, I love this battle system. I can find myself sort of getting lost into it, and it doesn't feel like horribly grindy. Like it feels in a weird way that sort of fun grindy. I don't know how man, it's and I love the visual style. Like they knew the limits of the Switch.
A lot.
They knew the limits of the Switch, and they said, you know what, instead of trying to make this look ultra realistic, let's just have fun with the anime style, and it'll look even better on PC because they could do more shit with it that way. And I think that they nailed that visual aspect of it.
Yeah, and the attacks, the animations are all gorgeous, and you can speed up the fights by 3 times. So
I noticed that when in the link that you posted where you tried to do your big attack and you hit his rock that he picked up. But yeah, I could tell that like you had the 3 times on mode because aside from the like combined attack, I think everything else was on the fast mode. But yeah, no, give me everything that makes the shit that I've already seen 100 times go faster than what it normally has to, because I've already seen it. Like I just don't have to see it again.
That's what I do. Like because I go and collect monsters and then I use them in a fight to see what their special is. So like if I'm not trying to do that, I'm usually just ×3 going through stuff. Or unless it's like a new monster I haven't fought, it's on like, so it's fun to have that choice, and especially with Monster Hunter where you're grinding out gear and parts and stuff. It's definitely needed to just like ramp it up and just go. Yeah, dude, it's
good shit.
It's definitely like an impressive game. I didn't expect to even like think of it as much as I have, but I'm just like enamored.
Nice.
Yep. So the next I've been playing finally got a review copy for a Chris Tales, which is that time hopping side scrolling JRPG. It's not what I was wanting, which is kind of sad to say, but it's not bad. I think I need to get further into it to see how it expands on its systems, but right now it's pretty I will say I'm kind of disappointed in some mechanical choices that they've made, but it's still an interesting battle system with going between forward and back in time and existing in all 3 time periods and time loops. It's kind of cool. But yeah, it's definitely a game I need to dive into more. I mean,
Sure.
in the press release they said it's a 40-hour long game, so it's kind of it's kind of not fair to like judge it as harshly. But yeah, it's definitely cool though. It's definitely not like for example, the first boss you fight is this big shield lady, and you can't get through her shield, but you have your mage partner use water magic on her in the present, and then you shoot her into the future, and it rusts her armor, and you can get through and attack her. So just imagine that with a bunch of different systems, a bunch of different magic types, and having that be the gameplay loop of you walking through and seeing a village that exists in the past, the present, and the future, and making decisions that impact the world at large as a whole. Because apparently, like each city or country has like 5 or 6 outcomes that can happen according to what you choose. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens. I just got to the first like big hub, so yeah, it's definitely a game I'm gonna keep playing.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see where it goes. You'll probably hear about it next week,
next episode. Cool. Cool.
Yep. And yeah, besides that, it's just Final Fantasy like usual.
Like usual, baby.
Yes, sir.
Where's my Tales of Arise review code? We'll get that to you, Corey. Relax. Well, I was going to switch to Taylor.
October, right?
Yeah, but he disappeared. So I'll briefly hop in with what I'm playing. I've been playing that hot new Zelda game, Skyward Sword.
Me too, actually. I completely forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I picked it up. I actually picked it up yesterday. I had it reserved. I played it. So here's the thing. I played it when it first came out on the Wii, probably for about 5, 6, 7 hours, and then I just couldn't get into it. And so it's the only Zelda. I take it back. That and Majora's Mask are the only 2 Zelda games that I have not completed. I won Majora's Mask on the 3DS. I might hop into that eventually, but I have a feeling it's going to come to Switch somehow. So I figured, okay, let me get back into Skyward Sword, picked it up. I've got to say, I love the visual style that's sort of hand-painted. It's a pretty gorgeous game. It's a pretty game. It's a gorgeous game. The visuals are still a little washed out. Even so when I played on my TV, everything was like completely washed out, and I had to keep adjusting the color settings. And so I thought, let me play it in handheld mode and see how Nintendo wants you to see it, because it's its own screen, and it's still a little bit on the washed out side. So I think it's just the visual style is
it's
overly pastel. Yeah,
it's a like water paint pastel color. Yeah. There's these comparisons I've seen of like the original game and
the posters that I have up behind me that you can kind of see.
New one, and like there's like a filter that the original game has that the new one doesn't have. There's like a filter that makes things look even more like a painting that's just gone from the new version.
Probably
so it's kind of like a weird choice.
It's probably because the original was meant for SD screens and not HD screens.
Yeah.
So they had to put that muddy filter right. But there's a lot of life in the faces. The character faces are fantastic. Link looks probably the best looking Link in all of the Zelda games, just from a style standpoint and having energy and stuff.
Zelda too.
Zelda looks great. Zelda looks really good.
I mean, let's not throw Wind Waker under the bus here.
No, Wind Waker's different. So I think there's the most life in this Link in the characters here, because the animations are great, and in 60 frames per second, it's super smooth. It looks really good. But I fucking hate these controls. In handheld mode, it is junk because Nintendo, this is a remaster. It's not a remake. It's not like they went back in and changed, wholesale changed how this game functioned. That would have actually probably taken a lot longer. I swear they probably pumped this game out in less than a year. But you still need to swing your damn sword around. Now, I will say this: playing it docked and using the motion controls, surprisingly way better than flicking the control stick. mostly because I hate having to hold the L button, the shoulder button, to move the camera around on the right stick. I really wish Nintendo would have let you fiddle with the controls a little bit to adjust what you want to do, because I would much rather hold that L button and then attack as instead of hold the L button and move the camera around. And so I think,
know who's going to let you customize your controls?
who's that?
Valve
with
on
the
the Steam Deck.
when I get that emulated version of Skyward Sword.
Does anybody remember if Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, was it you hold down L and then you could use your sword, or was it the sword was like with the stick? Because it seems like it was the reverse.
I think
don't
you were
remember.
right on the L and then move the sword.
Yeah, so that could have worked.
Like you entered, you held L and then you would enter like a weird bullet time, and then you could like slice
that's
them
what
up real good.
I would prefer that. What were you gonna say, Aaron?
I haven't really been a Zelda guy. Like I liked the old school ones, and then I kind of fell off around the Ocarina Majora's Mask. So I messed around with Wind Waker late. I never played. I haven't had a chance to really play Breath of the Wild. I haven't played Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword, the one where you turn into a werehog?
No, that's Twilight Princess.
No, that's Twilight
Princess.
Yeah.
And the other question is this the one that came with the archery training?
No, that was also in the Twilight Princess realm.
Okay, so I don't know anything about this game then.
No, you're okay not knowing anything about it. It's the and what I mean by that
It was the last Wii game, right?
It was the last Wii Zelda game. One of the last
Wii
the last Wii Zelda game for sure.
Yeah.
It's the sort of the epitome of Zelda from a story Zelda. Like they went all out with the story in this. It's much more RPG. You're walking around because it came out the same day as, or right around the same time as Skyrim in 2011, and they really wanted to say, hey guys, you can get 300 hours out of this Zelda, but it's just like a lot of repetition.
The problem was that they stretched everything so
unnecessarily stretched stuff. So
hey, you got a rupee.
You got to
every time.
Well, they took that part out, thankfully. So you get the
down.
rupee the first time, and it doesn't say that anymore after that. At least they cleaned that part out. But it's the fact that there's certain sections of the game that you have to do a bunch of stuff, and then you finish it, and you go back and do a bunch more stuff, like the same thing, like 2 or 3 times. It's like it was built around the DS era of Zelda, where you kept going back to the same stupid tower over and over again and keep climbing all the way up. And it was just you're like, God, I've seen this staircase 40 times already. I don't want to do it again. And that's what Skyward Sword was. And I think once they got through
Spirit Tracks?
Yeah, Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass, baby. I'm glad that looking back, like they learned a lot from this game, because it was a very constricting style game. It's like you had to. I mean, it was linear without being like being linear top surface.
Because was the gap they went from Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
I mean, like think about that. Think about the
Mm.
transition that they made from Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild.
Well, like
massive.
Well, like that's how Zeldas were for forever. These linear, constricting. Like you have to do what we say until you get into a dungeon, and then you can do whatever.
Yeah,
like
this one is the most constricting to that.
Yeah.
Which is why Link Between Worlds is the real
I was gonna bring that up.
New Zelda game.
Yes, because that's the newest.
Because as much as I liked Breath of the Wild, but it will never be the game to me that it is to some people. I'll put it that way, right?
Sure.
It doesn't change other video games for me. It's just good. But I like what the other Zeldas do for the most part. I grew up on Zelda DX for the Game Boy.
Okay.
Personally, that was one of my most played before I played Ocarina of Time. And but yeah, I mean, like Link Between Worlds, like it is up there for being quintessentially the best.
Yeah.
Which one was the one where you wake up on the island and you gotta hang out with the space whale?
That's DX. The one I was just talking
Well,
about.
the second Zelda 2 is Link's Awakening. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the good one.
Yeah.
No, dude.
Yeah.
A Link Between Worlds, where you have to rent your weapons,
Yeah,
it's
it's
such
awesome.
a cool mechanic. Like, be like, okay, I need this for this
It's
area.
the
I
better
gotta
version
return
of
Yeah, I
having
remember.
your weapons break.
Yeah, it really was. It
Mm.
was. I remember the nice thing about it is if you saved up enough gold coins early on or rupees early on, which you could, you'd have all those weapons and
Mario.
Mario. You never ended up like it got to a point where you were so over encumbered with rupees that and that happened fairly early in the game. But it's still such a great that mechanic from going from 2D to 3D and solving puzzles that way was so good. Yeah. Anyways, but so Skyward Sword was kind of the last big full of too much fluff Zelda. And they didn't take any of that out because it would have been a wholesale change to the game. I do hope down the line, because it's 10 years. That game is now a 10-year-old game. I do hope down the line, like
It's
10
a
years
classic.
from now, it's a classic. 10 years from now, they revisit it, or 15 years from now, whatever. They revisit it and just completely strip it of everything that wasn't good and say, there's no motion controls in this. It's going to function like a more traditional Zelda game, like Breath of the Wild or whatever. But like that's the ideal way to do this game, I feel. But yeah, whatever. I'm playing that. I'm only a few hours in. I'm going to complete it this time.
I've been playing it on my PC. If you want to know how that's working, and it flawlessly. It runs amazingly.
There you go.
Yeah, no. Skyward Sword is a special game in the Zelda time. It's a special game in the Zelda timeline because
because it's the first, right?
It's the first. It tells the origin of everything. So I really do think the Skyward Sword story is pretty good. I think it
really is.
It's a very interesting story. The bad guy is a very good bad guy. Not the big whale thing, but Girahim, the little dude you fight, is super interesting. Very atypical kind of Zelda bad guy, where he's like really like fucked up and like dark, and I like that. But yeah, it's everything you said is true. But yeah, I still like it. I love Zelda games. I'll play whatever. I like the look. I like the way Zelda looks. I think that's the best looking Zelda. And I like her story. I like her becoming like the goddess kind of thing. It's pretty cool. And the theme, when people figured out whenever like a long time ago, when people figured out that if you played the theme backwards, it's Zelda's
Ocarina of Time, right?
Lullaby. Yeah, no, it's her. So it's like, it's just super cool. And the music is probably my favorite Zelda soundtrack is in this game. Yeah.
Cool. And that's and then I will mention Steam real quick. For anybody that's friends with me on Steam, you may have noticed that I've put in like 40, 50 hours, 60 hours in some games because I've been farming Steam cards. Thank you for reminding me, Zach and Taylor, that I can still do that and try to.
Just if you don't want to bother your Steam friends, Dali, just remember that you can put yourself in offline mode, and people won't get those updates. I don't know. It depends on how much you do or do not like your Steam friends.
It's very, very fucking funny if you put Idolmaster on turbo and leave that shit on.
I totally should have done that. I will say this. So I played was it the Idol Champions, and I've been playing a bunch of those Idol games thinking, I'm gonna get a bunch of Steam cards. You don't get any Steam cards from those because you have to buy shit. That's the only way to unlock Steam cards on a lot of the free-to-play games. You have to actually buy stuff. But I've unlocked probably about 40 Steam cards this weekend just by leaving my computer on, maybe 50 Steam cards, and opening up like 5 games at a time. I've ruined the battery on my laptop, but hey, it works. All you gotta do is just turn the game on and let it sit at the title screen, and you get shit. Who would have thought that wasting my electricity in the house would have led to that? But yeah, that's it. That's all I've been playing. What about you, Taylor? You right up there, dude. Ding, 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 ding.
Not much. A little bit more Final Fantasy 14 because why not?
Why not?
I'm still technically in. I'm below level 60, so I'm in the not officially sales number categorized player base currently.
Sure.
I did purchase the game.
You out there hanging out with Asmongold?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably past me in the story by now. Past.
Nope.
Really?
He's working on clearing A Realm Reborn content, like
still.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Admittedly,
there's so much of it. It's just that he does it for a living. So
exactly.
I figured he would have caught up to me by now.
Nah, he's got to draw that out. He makes money off every video, right?
I think he just finished the raid.
There's
the
so
raid
much.
Series. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be raking in dollars for months just clearing A Realm Reborn.
Please. No, I can't imagine that it takes him more than 3 weeks to clear all of A Realm Reborn. But so I've been doing that. I'm in Heaven's Ward personally. That's the content that I'm clearing. I found out. I don't think I mentioned it, but I found. Did I mention it last podcast? I probably did. I was one quest away from clearing A Realm Reborn. I literally logged in, talked to the one person, completed the quest, and then it rolled credits. It rolled quest for like 40 minutes. I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm glad that I left this quest undone."
What's the quest? Was it the one that was like the 45-minute long cutscene, or is that the? There's like a long ass cutscene.
No, that one wasn't that. That one. I mean,
my favorite thing that game does is the warning.
Yeah, it's like warning. There's going to be a lot of cutscenes.
Hey man, if you gotta go number 1 or number 2, do it right now. Get yourself a drink. Get yourself some snacks.
I have not seen that. I have not seen that in a bit so far with Heaven's Word. But my main criticism for Final Fantasy 14 stuff is that they take so much time to ramp up.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's true.
I'm starting the quest for Heaven's Ward, and it's just like, okay, and it's just like quest after quest after quest. It's like, bro, just hit me with everybody I gotta care about right now. Just do it. Just get it over with. Let's rip the Band-Aid off so I can know who I just want to know who I have to care about, and let's get to the meat of it. I
want to know who I have to care about.
I mean, that's literally it. Everyone. And then, I mean, the answer is everyone all the time because
all of your family, neighbors,
literally every single character matters forever. That's kind of like how Final Fantasy 14 works. Yeah. That's kind of like the way that they built the game. Anyway, so Final Fantasy 14 is still good.
Speaking of Final Fantasy 14, I have a list of things I want to mention about the game that I wrote down right here.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Okay. I watch a lot of videos comparing World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14. So here are some notes I took to bring to the podcast to my fellow members. Let's see. Number 1. WoW has never had a feedback loop because they have never experienced a true loss or had a huge reason to address any issues at hand, and now they're running into the issues that they're having, and now they're going to hopefully in the future have a feedback loop to improve the game. That's my first note. So that's good. Hopefully that happens. There's some competition that might happen between these two. Let's see. In WoW, you have a huge toxic in-game community within the Mythic Plus players. Mythic dungeons are harder versions of the base level dungeons, but the kicker here is the key you need to unlock that dungeon is a one-time use key. If you fail, you lose it. In Final Fantasy XIV, the hard content isn't gated by anything but equipment level, so if you fail something hard, you just get back up and try it again. Okay, it's a huge difference here. Here's my favorite one. In Final Fantasy XIV, expansions aren't subtractive. They don't remove systems, and they build on the ones that they had introduced years ago. 7-year-old dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV are more relevant than WoW's 7-month-old content, which is true. Because in Final Fantasy XIV, everything matters. Like everything feeds into each other, and it's really cool. Mm-hmm. Let's see if this one's worth even reading. The director of Final Fantasy XIV got a question at a fan fest from a few years ago where they asked, "Hey, I would love a controller would vibrate when my dungeon queue was filled. And the director said, that's a great idea. And it was added in the next patch. And that ends my daily spiel for Final Fantasy 14.
And don't forget that Final Fantasy 14 has a free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn.
Dude,
and the award-winning Heaven's Ward.
It is kind of wild how big. Like, I bought the pack where it came with all the expansions that are currently out.
Mm-hmm.
And it came with 60 days of game time. I only got through A Realm Reborn. And that was it. That's like I had 60 days of game time, and I did not get all the way through A Realm Reborn.
Yeah, dude. Each expansion is like a 50-hour long JRPG.
It's crazy. And I was just literally focused on only story content. I skipped everything else. Granted, I didn't take time off or anything like that. So I was working. I was still doing my regular full-time job and stuff like that on the side. But it is long as hell. Okay. Anyway, that's Final Fantasy 14. Still good.
Right. Still good.
Especially if you want, if you've never played it before and you want to go up to level 60 all the way through the content of Heaven's Ward, that game's really right there for you.
Just get in there and hang out with a Stinny, and it's great.
Also, another probably going to be a Hallmark game on the Steam Deck. I'm just throwing that out there. It is made for controller play because it's a console game as well. And I've also been playing Cruelty Squad.
Of course, Cruelty Squad.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually it though. So on Cruelty Squad, I went and I needed some money because I wanted to buy my own home. So I went to the casino and I went fishing. And I fished up some Wheel of Fortunes. Sold those bad boys. Got a lot of money. Bought my own home. And you buy a house in Cruelty Squad, and of course, for whatever they do, there's literally no explanation. It's like, congrats, you own your own home. You enter the level, and then there's targets. It's like, yeah, you have to kill these dudes. Sorry, there's absolutely no exposition.
It's a hidden secret level, dude.
It's not a hidden secret level. It's literally something that you can buy at any time during the game. And you go there, and your 3 targets. They don't aggro you. You can speak to them. You talk to them, and at this point, aside from the parts where I read external material about the game, if you don't want to do that, I suggest that you try and buy your home as soon as possible so that you can talk to the NPCs that are on this level. It is the single greatest direct exposition on what the in-game world building is. It's like every single person that you're supposed to kill is like, hey, I'm basically just going to tell you about the triagons of the gods of the universe of Cruelty Squad, and then literally just fucking lore dump you on here's the first sin of God, and it's like, okay, yeah, sure. And then you go to the next one, it's like, yeah, here's the third sin of God, and I actually still haven't beaten the level yet. It's very, very difficult. There's a ton of dudes, and also mysterious camouflaging cows, where if I aggro anything, the cows aggro me. They were previously visible, and then they become pseudo camouflaged. I don't know why, but they're there. I think that they're cows. I don't really know. It's Cruelty Squad. They could be literally anything. The dogs of Cruelty Squads are kind of like weird demon things. So I don't really know, man. There's a weapon in Cruelty Squad where when you zoom in, it turns it to just black and white. And that's actually a lot of the Zooms do that. But anyway, so on the level where you're on your own home, I'm using my intestines to slingshot myself up onto mountains and shit. Just normal cruelty. Yeah, just normal cruelty squad stuff. Right?
Normal stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so I zoom in. There's all around this town that my home is next to. There's like billboards of body parts, because that's also a pretty big cruelty squad thing. Like, I'm literally harvesting body parts on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
That's cruelty squad. Use the images in color are kind of like unimpressive, and then it goes to grayscale on black and white, and like they fucking pop.
Really?
It's just like one of those fucking weird things where it's just like, oh, I can see now exactly what that image is supposed to be. And it also looks much better than it used to be. And the level is so expansive that the likelihood of you bringing a weapon that you're going to zoom in and move to grayscale is very high. It's just a really cool aesthetic design choice. Anyway, Cruelty Squad still good. I dare you to try and find me a game that does anything like this. Still continues to do it. I still know that there's like 800 million things that are in the game that I haven't experienced. In my opinion, without working a full-time job, impossible to find them without using a guide. Still remains to be the case.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to find them elsewhere. But yeah, no, I felt like I spent the vast majority of my week thinking about and talking about the Steam Deck than I did playing video games. I think that's reflective in the amount of time that I spent talking about the Steam Deck during the show.
So. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I'm
beautiful over 2 hours. I'm gonna move us real quick, because it has been over 2 hours, into a feature that we've kind of missed the last couple of weeks, but it's back.
Oh, what is it?
Your snacks.
Snack questing, baby. It's a snack. Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna. You said a couple of weeks. I'm gonna be real with you, man. Since I have joined you back on the show, questing? This has not been there, man. It's been it's been like 2 months.
Maybe it has been that long. Anyways, organic crispy coconut rolls. My mom actually bought these for my wife. Guess who's going to be eating it? My wife loves coconut stuff. So, all right, it looks like a little. Is it made of? It's gluten-free, made with real coconut milk plus roasted black sesame seeds. Whatever it is, it's a little roll. You guys can see in the camera there. Look at that sucker.
I love how none of us look impressed by this.
Yeah. All right.
We were on such a high note. You just got to bring it down. This is organic.
You know, holy shit. This is really good. Holy shit.
I don't like the texture of like coconut stuff.
This is crunchy, as you can see by that beautiful picture. These kind of, you guys ever have those little pirouettes? You know, those little pirouette things that they sell they come in a can, and they're like this longer, filled with chocolate, Nutella and shit.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that minus anything inside of it. Holy shit, these are really good. Ingredients: organic coconut milk, organic tapioca flour, organic sugar, organic coconut sugar, organic egg. Sorry if you're looking for
vegan,
non-dairy, vegan, and organic black sesame seeds and some salt.
I sure hope it's organic. How else are you going to eat it?
Mm-hmm. This is really good. Oh my god!
Is it like my new favorite? Is it basically just like all sweet?
No.
Is there any saltiness to it?
Mm-hmm. Let me try to describe the taste here. So,
if you could,
if I could, yeah. It's definitely. I mean, it's sweet. Yes, definitely sweet, but it's not an overpowering sweet.
Okay.
It's not stevia level sweet fakeness. It is a smoother sweetness, much like eating a. All right, it's gonna sound weird, and you don't like coconut, so I'm gonna try to phrase it more like this.
Yeah,
It's like a drier nectarine in sweetness and tart. Not a lot, not tart at all. But you taste plenty of sweetness because of the crunch. I think the crunch, the dryness of this crunch really helps. It's like
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you call it? Would you describe it as? Is it a dessert item?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's a dessert item because my ass would sit down and eat these nonstop. It's too sweet to have like too many of them. Let's put it that way. I'm glad you asked the question. Too sweet to have too many of them, but perfect if we have them sitting on the table post dinner. Friends are over. You're gonna start eating this and like forget that you're eating it, and you're gonna eat a bunch of them. But if you just sit down with a bag, you can't. It's not chips, right? It's not like that type of snack. It's good. I approve. Fully approve of the organic crispy chicken. Thanks, Mom, for bringing over the organic crispy chicken coconut rolls.
Did you say chicken?
I said chicken.
He said chicken.
Chicken rolls. Chicken rolls would be fucking amazing. Organic crispy chicken rolls.
Oh man.
With that, let's put this to bed. It's 11:40. We've been talking for over 2 hours. Aaron, thank you, my man.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going? Welcome to the show, Aaron. Tell us about VR. Thank you for joining us.
I just popped my back.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Here we go
I saw
again,
the
dude.
pain in your head. I saw the pain in your face there.
Ow.
Taylor, thanks for joining us this evening, Taylor.
So good to be here.
Thanks for taking our 45-minute shows and just stretching them like Skyward Sword, baby. That Skyward Sword taffy.
Content. You're welcome.
I looked at
Hashtag,
the
right?
timer when Taylor wrapped up his talk about the Steam Deck, and it was over an hour. It was over an hour.
Bruh.
It was an hour. It was an hour 4. I think
I
it
gave
was.
the people what they came for.
Zach, thanks for holding on the fort, my friend.
You're welcome.
Thanks for always giving us awesome indie shit to look at.
I try. Did you see that thing I posted today?
Yes, I did.
It's a cool little 2D platformer where you like are 2D and 3D at the same time. Or you control one guy who's in 3D, one guy who's in 2D, and you gotta like place platforms for the dude in 2D to jump on.
If you'd like to see this, check out the SideQuesting Discord. The link is in this post because it's so great to hop in there. Just so great, so great. With that, SideQuesting.com. See everybody's names is there. They're at Scardy Bones, at Taylor Bliss, at OKQuest, at Adamusky, at SideQuesting. SideQuesting TV on Twitch, SideQuesting on YouTube, and that's it. And we'll see you on the next episode of the SideQuest, everybody. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.